Oh, what a year it has been in 2020. And we're here to wrap things up with an amazing show planned for you guys. Thanks for joining us on this amazing journey this year. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
Towards the near post, the flick, and it's in. Darwin Jones with the response for Orange County. And it is a massive one. Off the goal, dominant in the last 10. Forrester in the middle now, gets around a few defenders. Forrester with the outside right foot. What a strike by Harry Forrester. It's the opening goal for Orange County.
Heads it down, back post, opportunity and a goal! A beautiful goal by Orange County.
This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. Follow us on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast or on Facebook at Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, presented by Roughneck Scarves and Icarus FC. We are the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Samora, and I'm with you pretty much each and every episode as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. Joining me as he's done each and every episode since day one, we've got Dylan from County Line Coalition. Dylan, how's it going?
You know, I don't have too many complaints. I see that we're just staring at your face right now, Ray. But that's fine. Oh, hello, everyone. It's good to be on here.
Is it always great when we can have you on the show, Dylan? You've been on here every single episode. People have had to put up with your fun comments and all that greatness. But also another person that's a member of this great team is from down in San Diego. We got Alan. Alan, how's it going, man?
It's going well. It's been chilly, which has been nice. We've had some fires at night, watching like The Mandalorian, and we've been rewatching Ozark. So it's been kind of cozy and slightly terrifying. So things are going well. I'm glad to be back and finishing up this great year with some good interviews.
Yes, exciting to bring on the interviews, and we're going to just get right into the swing of things. Joining us for the first time ever on our podcast, we've got the head coach for your Orange County Soccer Club, Coach Braeden Cloutier. Coach, welcome to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for taking some time out of your schedule to come join us and speak with us about how things are going with the club, what's going to be happening through the offseason and what to expect next season. Really quick, I just need to get this out of the way, though, because I think – just like Frederick do on the club, there's always a lot of questions or differences on the pronunciation of your last name. So can you just set the record straight? How do we pronounce your last name, Coach?
Well, it's pronounced Cloutier.
Cloutier. Perfect. Yeah. That's perfect. We will do our best to remember that going forward.
It goes back to my days with the San Diego Sockers. The PR guy back then, and I think he's still with U.S. Soccer, Jim Morehouse. When I came to the team, I think it was 1994, he suggested to go with the French pronunciation because it seemed a little bit more appropriate for soccer. So,
what a way to get the name going. Since you brought up the San Diego Sockers, I'm just going to go straight to Alan because those aren't watching the live stream. Alan is wearing a San Diego Sockers shirt, kit. I'm sure in anticipation of our guest today. So let me hand it off to you really quick, Alan. What questions do you have for Coach?
What was it like in that community, that indoor community? Because that's like one of the big heydays of San Diego soccer. Like people still talk about those soccer's teams as being these like great teams. What was it like playing with that kind of historical franchise at a pretty big moment?
Well, I tell you what. First of all, what year is that? 88, maybe somewhere around there. That jersey you got on?
I think so. It was a throwback that I snagged because it was snazzy with the big fat collar.
Definitely a nice one. But the San Diego Sockers are historically the greatest team of all time, or the greatest club of all time of indoor soccer. You know, having grown up in Wichita, having followed indoor soccer through the 80s, late 70s into the 80s, and then having the opportunity to play for a club like San Diego was fantastic. It was a great opportunity.
So let me ask you this really quick, Coach. We got the soccer thing out of the way. I'm sure we'll get back to that topic here in a little bit. But I've probably been out of the three of us the harshest on what happened with the team in 2020. I know I know the club didn't quite reach their expectations when we went into the season. But can you just give us a quick rundown of everything that sort of went good and maybe some things that didn't go quite so well for Orange County this season?
Well, I mean, from day one, I thought we would, coming back off of the COVID, with the break and everything, getting into the season, we knew it was going to be probably the biggest challenge of all of our careers, either as coaches or players. With the rules, with the testing, with, the quarantine and everything that was happening. A lot of people didn't know. We didn't, up until that first game against Phoenix, we had only had 3 days of training of, full team training with contact training. And up until then, we had a few players who had tested positive. We had a few injuries. So going into that Phoenix game, we hadn't even played 11 aside, hadn't even gotten really the minutes and the fitness that we needed to go into that game. So to be fortunate to come out of that game 1-1 was a positive. And then the next week we ended up beating Phoenix. So I think we, considering all the situation and the circumstances that going into those two games, we probably overachieved a bit, but I think we handled the situation very, very well. Getting into the next part of the situation where we were in Sacramento and the game got postponed, and and then I think we were supposed to play Galaxy next, and that game got postponed. It kind of, not at any fault of our own, it kind of, getting those games thrown into the schedule where we only had, a few days to recover and then have to play again with a very limited squad because we picked up a lot of injuries trying to rush guys to get them game fit during the week. We had a limited roster, and it just obviously it all caught up to us. We won, what was it, like I think 4 games in a row, but during that spell, we kept picking up injuries, and the roster just got smaller and smaller with who was available, and the limited roster that we had and the players available, posed problems for us when it came down to it. But I think every game we were pretty much in every single game. I just don't think we had the horses there to last, or a deep enough squad to really get through that part of the schedule.
How big of a loss was it to have to leave Thomas Volton out in Europe? I know there was a lot of positive anticipation when he came back to the club, looking at his goal scoring that he had brought to the team a few seasons back, looking for that to return. And then, again, COVID happened, Thomas back in Europe for the birth of his child, and the club decides to let him stay out there for the season. How big of a loss was that for the team and your plans for 2020?
It was a massive loss. I mean, I think, obviously bringing him back, we brought him back for goals, and it was something that, if you look at the 15 games that we played in the back half of this season, we lacked, goals. We created plenty of opportunities, but we didn't have, his goal scoring threat. But the decision was made, when we were still in COVID and we were still in quarantine, and we didn't even know if we were going to have a season. And we knew that his wife was going to be due in July, and the decision was made for him to go back home, which he needed to go back for the birth of his first child, and I think we were all in agreement of that. And then sending him out on loan again was for him to get games, and at his age he needs to be playing on a regular basis, and we didn't know if we were going to even have a season. So that decision was made, which ultimately left us a little bit shorthanded when it came down to it, when we were needing goals and playing all those games back to back.
Let me I've been hogging the question time so far. Let me hand it off to Dylan here, see if he has a question or two for you.
Braeden, you mentioned a lot of dealing with the circumstances, especially this year. And you had quite an interesting career yourself, leaving Wichita, Kansas for Hamburg, Germany. How do you use your personal experience, especially as a youth player, moving halfway across the globe with the younger players that are on
I mean, today? I get, obviously the opportunity that I had, I couldn't pass up, and it was something that I wanted to pursue. And fortunately for, my family, they supported me. And, but times back then were a little bit different. Back then there was no internet, there was no, cell phones, there was nothing like that. So going over, halfway across the world to play was, definitely a huge, experience that extremely grateful for. And I think, the things that I learned from different managers that I played for, and different situations that I was in at a young age, gives me the opportunity to help, the Francis and the Kobe's and the Aarons and, the young players that we have to help them understand what it's like to be a professional. And I always say this: it's not only what you're doing on the field or at practice; it's a lifestyle that you live off the field, and trying to help those guys grow as young adults and in the professional athletes.
Let me ask you this, Coach. Talking about the roster makeup here, Orange County seems to be one of those teams in the USL that has a really good balance between veterans who are experienced and some of the younger, up and coming players in U.S. soccer. Is that a vision that you and GM Oliver Weiss have sort of put together over the past few seasons? Is this sort of your game plan from day one once you got to the head coaching spot, or is this something that sort of naturally evolved from when you first got there to where it is now?
No, I think it begins even not only with Oliver and myself, but with Franz Hoek and with Peter Nugent. The four of us, obviously we had a blueprint and we had an idea and a philosophy of how we wanted to play, and then from there, creating player profiles to fit in with the system and the style that we wanted to play, and then now going out and identifying those players. And I think, the first year we did a really good job of identifying those players and getting a bit fortunate when we had, Alex Cronali and Andre Rawls coming in on loan, to kind of fill some voids that we weren't able to identify. But yeah, that's been, ultimately what we created from day one, and then going out and getting those players. And I think the challenge now for us is to constantly build from this, and finding the right players in the off season and identifying the right talented players to come in and fill some voids that we ultimately need to replace a few players and keep evolving as a club and as a team. But going into this year, I thought we had a very solid roster going into the start of the preseason, and unfortunately with the COVID and the quarantine and everything that happened, it kind of hamstrung us there, and ultimately, with Thomas going back to Denmark and then starting off in July being, like I said, having all the injuries and the games all backed up, it became a depth issue, that we didn't really probably have the depth that we really needed to really get through that stage of the season.
Definitely. And speaking with about some of these younger players, you said you got off to a great start, early on. One of the first of those youngsters that joined the team, Aaron Cervantes, just recently signed with Rangers, which is a big move for, going from a USL Championship club to one of the top clubs in the world into their program. It shows that Orange County is truly focusing on that pathway to pro message that they've been stating, and then B, it's showing these young players that if they come to Orange County, they may have an opportunity to take that next step and reach for bigger and better things. Did you get to speak with Aaron before the announcement, or have you spoken to him recently about what he needs to do to be ready for that next level or that next step, or and how happy were you that you were able to help him get to that next level?
No, I mean, for me, I mean, I've known Aaron since he was 9-10 years old. I worked with him at that age and saw something in him that, he's definitely ambitious and hardworking and driven. And I knew that he had an opportunity when I got this job here at Orange County that I could bring him into this organization and help develop him and create a pathway and a plan for him to become a top professional. And I think, nothing's given, everything's earned. The first season he was here, he didn't get 1 minute. But then little by little, he's grown into himself, and with the help of Victor and obviously Franz Hoek, and given the opportunity to train every single day with top professionals and keep building and keep, developing. But, ultimately these kids have to play, and they have to get games, they have to get minutes. But again, it's not given, it's earned. Aaron definitely earned his minutes and his opportunity. And I think, 2 seasons ago, he made the best of it. I think he had 12 or 13 starts, did very, very well before Frederick got in. And then you can see this preseason. I mean, he did really, really well with the competition between him and Frederick, and earned a right to start the season.
I want to open it up to some fan questions because we did reach out on social media and ask any fans if they wanted to submit questions to ask you during your time with us here. And our super fan, Andy King, he had a couple questions. One of the questions he wanted to ask is what the biggest change you've seen in the USL since you've become involved with the league? What's been the biggest change you've seen?
It's definitely grown from I would say, glorified semi-professional league to a full-blown professional league. With the quality of the players that we're getting, the caliber of the player, but also just the way the clubs and the organizations are being run now. I think, the first season we were here, it was very difficult to retain any players. Everybody was on a season contract just for the season. And then, over the course of the last few years, we've been able to retain players, been able to, sign players on multi-year contracts. And that's not just us, that's the league as a whole. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. So it creates continuity. It creates, chemistry between the players and the fans, to know the players that are coming back and not just constantly, a revolving door of players. And, it helps us as a staff and an organization to create chemistry and that continuity, like I said.
And then the other question he wanted to ask with you joining the show is, where do you see Orange County in 10 years? 10 years from now, what can we expect out of Orange County?
I tell you what, hopefully a few championships. I definitely, for me, I'm proud that, this is going to be, I think, coming up on year 7, I believe, 6, 7. Since Oliver and I came in from the start. I want to still be here. I want to still build, and this club has a special place for me. And hopefully here in 10 years, we've won multiple championships. We've sent players that are playing in the World Cup for the first team, playing in top leagues across the world. And we have a pipeline of kids coming through an academy system. But it would be nice as if obviously we continue to build out with the stadium and the fan base, and we're getting 10, 15,000 people on a regular basis would be great in 10 years. And I think, things are evolving as a club, definitely from the first minute when I got here to where we're at now. It's night and day. But there's still a lot of room to grow. I think we're on the right track. And, like I said, we're never satisfied. We're constantly pushing ourselves to get better. And I think, the fans, our fan base now can, be assured that here in the next few years, in the next 10 years, that, we're going to go and try to do everything we can to keep winning championships.
Thank you for that. And we'll get back to maybe one or two more fan questions here. I have one question heading into the off season here and now, to 2021. What are you working on with the front office, and what are you trying to figure out? I guess my biggest question would be, or my main question I'm trying to ask is, what's the biggest gap Orange County has that needs to be filled, and what do you think is needed, or what do we need to fill that gap?
Well, first of all, we need to know when we're going to start. I think that's been the biggest challenge for us this off season is still the unknowns of, when we're going to have a start date, when we're going to be able to start preseason. I don't get into the negotiations. I leave that to Oliver and Pete, with players and things like that. But I've obviously identified players. I have a list of players pretty much in every position. Pete and I talk on a regular basis. It's the negotiating and not knowing when we're going to be able to start to be able to fill the roster. I think that's been the most frustrating for all of us. It's just league wide right now and all the unknowns. But I can understand where the owners are coming from. I can understand the frustration between the staffs and the the fan bases. Things will eventually get back to normal here really soon. But I think for us right now is just trying to find the right time. I mean, it's frustrating for me. I want to be on the field. I want to be preparing for games and having the thought of, not having a game for an extended period of time is extremely, frustrating. But, for us right now is, the players that we do have under contract, we're still training. We're still with them on a regular basis. We're going to have programs for them here really soon going into the preseason. But yeah, we're continually working. We're trying to fill voids, like you said. I mean, we obviously signed Chris Wehan. He's a player that we've known for several years now, and he's something that I think we lacked a little bit in the last season that we identified early on that, we got that one done pretty soon. But, we know that we had a good solid base of, a good 11 players, and getting Ingebolson back will definitely be a plus. But I think it's just building out the rest of the squad and the depth of the squad with good quality players as well is what we're looking forward to.
You mentioned having a really hard time, especially right now, trying to build the roster. We do have a fan question asking how often Franz Hoek is involved just throughout the season.
Well, I tell you what, I talk to Franz probably a minimum once a week, if not more. I definitely talk to him after every single game in preparation for every single game. It's kind of funny. We kind of have an inside joke. Not really a joke. We just kind of we've called him Obi-Wan. He's kind of like the Jedi mind master. He's the one that kind of helps us, obviously for every single one of us. But me for personally, as kind of a mentor, somebody that I can touch base with and because he's been at the highest level, he's been around the top managers around the world, and for him to understand everything that we're going through here, and for me personally, what I'm going through to help me grow and to evolve, has been tremendous. But yeah, he's somebody that we talk to on a weekly basis. We usually get on every couple of weeks a staff either Zoom call, but he comes out. Normally, he would come out 4 or 5 times a year, and watch a handful of games per. Well, we watch one of our games, and like I said, he analyzes everything, and we go over it. We're always on a Zoom call at least 2-3 hours a day, once a week.
It's always that's a very good person to have too, as someone to be able to talk with and go over game plans and trying to plan for future opponents and whatnot. A very good person to have on our side. Alan, do you have any question?
Yeah, I think talking about like mentor and mentorship, and as you play, you have these people that kind of are your coaches or your leaders, and having that experience. When did you like start thinking about, man, I want to coach? Like, I want this to be my career path. Was there like a moment, or was it like a kind of over a period of time, like you realized that this is something you really would enjoy doing?
Well, I tell you what, when I was playing, there was no chance. I'd never wanted to be a coach. It was one of those situations where I was actually in San Diego. I was playing for the Sockers back in 2004, and midway through the season, the club folded. And I was living actually up here in Orange County. My kids were in school up here in Orange County, and it was one of those moments where it's like, okay, do I continue to travel across the country? I had an opportunity to play for another couple of MLS teams, had a couple of indoor teams I could have gone to, but it was like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to just stay and because I was going to have to leave my family, and I decided to stay and get into coaching, and just happens to be it was at the club that Oliver Wies was at, and he had a time where he had a very talented youth young boys team, and I took that boys team off of him, and that team ended up being the national champions and won everything in Cal South for a number of years. But I think that first year when I got that team, I realized, that I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed working with kids, and I really enjoyed coaching. And it gave me an outlet and a platform that I really didn't anticipate wanting to do, but ultimately fell in love with it. And I think, I don't think there's one coach that's a former player that says, that he would exchange. And I love playing. I mean, I really enjoyed my career playing, but the satisfaction I get, being able to be on the sidelines and get to manage a game and be involved in that adrenaline rush that you get week in, week out is priceless. And, I'm grateful for those opportunities I was able to get.
Let me ask you really quick, Braeden. I want to get one more fan question in here really quick, and then we'll let you go because you've definitely spent a good part of the evening with us here on the show, so we appreciate that. One of our listeners, Russell Buteau, is asking basically the Pathway to Pro program that you guys are setting up. How is that going to work with the youth program, the youth of OC, and what is the plans in the future for that? I know there's been some holiday camps recently. Can you elaborate more on where that's going in the future?
Well, definitely. I mean, the academy is something that it's USL wide. That's created the USL Academy. But it's again, these players, like this season for us, obviously it wasn't ideal with COVID and the limitations that we had when it came to training and the protocols that we had to follow within the bubble that we lived in. And even right now with youth soccer, there's still, I think my son's team still can't even have contact training. So presents, some challenges there. But for us overall, to have a reserve team, we're going to call it, not an academy team, it's a reserve team, for the players like Kobe and Francis and young Raymond and obviously some of these other players that we're going to be bringing in. It gives them an opportunity to play games. That's where they need to probably learn the most, is in the actual game itself. And it gives them an opportunity to train with the first team on a regular basis, but also, opportunities if they're not getting minutes with the first team to play with the reserve team. It's a setup that's, global. It's around the world that, the top clubs have reserve teams that the players can play and get their minutes that way. But it's also an opportunity for them to showcase themselves to us that they deserve to play in the first team and get minutes. So there's going to be opportunities for kids that might not even have a first, obviously showcase themselves to get into the first team training to see how they can handle themselves in a professional with adults. But even for, some of the younger players that we have under contract, if they're struggling a little bit, emotionally or mentally, dealing with the day in, day out of the first team, they can go back and play with the reserve team, build their confidence back up there and ultimately get back up into the first team. But, we have a plan and a pathway for all these kids. And, with the relationship that we have with Rangers, they're going to be vital in this whole process. They're going to have some staff that are going to be coming over to help us as well. And I think we're going to build this out that, you asked that question about 10 years from now, I think this is going to be fully, from top to bottom, a professional club that we're all going to be extremely proud of.
Well, I want to thank you once again for taking some time this evening to join us on the show and share a little insight into the club. We definitely are looking forward to hopefully have you on again in the future when we get a better idea of what 2021 is going to look like and maybe get a little bit into a more full roster of the team there to find out what your expectations are for 2021. But again, thank you for taking some time to join us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your coach for Orange County Soccer Club, Coach Braeden Cloutier. And I appreciate you taking some time to share your thoughts with our fans, our listeners.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the
Perfect.
holidays.
Thank you. Yes, same to you. So it's awesome when we can have players, but when we get the coach on the club on the show, it's a pretty good experience as way. Speaking of players, we're going to just swing right into this next interview or person we have here, and that's going to be someone that's been on the show in the past. And let's bring him on. That's defender for Orange County, Rob Kiernan. Rob, how are you doing, sir?
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm doing pretty amazing. I can't speak for Dylan or Alan. I'll let one of them. I get a thumbs up from Dylan there on the live stream.
I am well.
Guys, listen, my connection's a little bit juttery here, so if I have to ask you to repeat, I apologize. It's just a little bit croaky, man.
It's what happens when we're doing a live stream. You got to rely on internet, and internet's not always the most stable thing. Even though we're end of 2020, you expect your internet to be super fast, super great, but we've all experienced those issues. I think Alan was having issues earlier on the show. He dropped out a few times. So
no worries. If I drop out, guys, I'll be straight back in, and I am sitting right next to the Wi-Fi, so it should be okay. But I apologize in advance.
Perfect. So let me just start this off really quick for you, Rob. We had you on the show last. You talked about a lot of things. We talked about your experience here joining the club here in the U.S. for your first season. I guess I could say the season probably didn't end as expected for you and the guys. What was the feeling with you? What was the feeling in the locker room at the end of the season there?
Yeah, I'll be brutally honest with you. It was very disappointing. Towards the back end of our last few games, we knew that the goals that we weren't kind of scoring would maybe have a bit of an effect. And I just feel if we'd have taken the lead earlier in games, I think we'd be in a different position. But listen, it was what it is, and we had a good go at it. We everyone's season was stalled, so that's never going to be an excuse. But to be brutally honest, I think we should have gone a little bit further than we did. And I just think hopefully when we get some continuity back in terms of a schedule and training that's not interfered with COVID and everything like that. So listen, I'm very optimistic about next season. I think if we can recruit well and strengthen what we've got, then I think it should be in a better position.
Yeah, and you were one of the first announcements from the club as far as returning players for 2021. I'll speak for Dylan and Alan. You were probably, if not the highest, one of the top rated guys on the club or on the roster from the three of us when we did our end of the season grades. So we saw your work out there on the field, and we appreciate all that effort you put onto everything. Giving your all on the pitch, I guess we could say, if we want to go with those analogies. What are you going to be working on this offseason to prepare for 2021?
To be honest with you guys, I've always kept myself in very good condition outside of football. The off season, I like to really increase my strength programs. I like to box as well, so I get my fitness in there. So for me, it's just a case of I have a bit of downtime in terms of actual time I'm actually training, in terms of like road running, etc. like that. I try to stay off that just to give the joints a break. But the fitness side of it, I'll have a few weeks downtime, keeping my strength work, and then obviously on top of that, all my technique stuff I do pretty much every day. So like you've probably seen before, boys that struggle a little bit with their body outside of season, I've never really had to worry too much about that. Just conscious of keeping myself in good condition, and then pre-season will come around, and then I use that as my time to really focus in and get my body to the condition it needs to be, body fat, etc. So no, right now I'm just gonna let the body heal, let it do its job, and then we'll go again next season.
Rob, you did mention taking a little bit of time off from higher impact stuff
Yes.
and running. Did you notice a big difference? I mean, obviously it doesn't really rain in SoCal. Did you notice a massive difference just in terms of how your body responded to training day in, day out on a much harder surface?
Yes, to be honest with you guys, I don't really like the turf. I've never really liked the turf. They're sort of the plastic pitches. We have a few back home, but nothing to the scale of here. And actually, we haven't trained on anything. We only played a few games on them, so it wasn't bad at all. But you got to remember, back home, everyone wears metal studs purely because of the amount of rainfall that we get. So the ground is a lot softer. So it does have an effect on your lower backs and your joints. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm very fortunate to be in a place where the sun shines, and after training, get a good fuel up and recover yourself. And just sitting in that sun for an hour or two, get in the pool, stretch your legs, it does make such a big difference. So I actually feel like my body's recovering better here. And just the little 1%, the little things that I think make a big difference in the big picture, the stretching and the ice bathing, and, seeing a physio maybe and getting some, sort of muscle tissue work done. It just helps, it just helps. And especially the little 1% that I've been taught over my career that, I see the top boys doing day in, day out. And I do think that that's what, creates a gap between, top players and elite players,
The team had a really strong defensive season, not allowing. There was clean sheets. There was a few goals allowed here and there, but I would say a pretty dominant defensive season. And you were pretty vocal. Some of the games that I heard, you were, trying to control that back line and being vocal with the young players. What do you think is one thing that the defensive unit can work on this offseason to take that even a bigger step forward and just be a lockdown defense, which is rare in the West?
Yeah, no, it's the beauty of defending as a team, guys, is that it doesn't just come from your back four, your goalkeeper. It does start from the front. I know people will say that, and I'll reiterate that. But, when everyone's doing their job in front of you, it makes my job a hell of a lot easier. So when I'm demanding people in front of me to cover positions or block off passes or track their runners, it's for a reason. It's not to be that guy who's just moaning at everyone at the back. It's actually because I believe that as a unit, you need to be, understanding of everyone's positions and roles. But on top of that, the more I can dictate in front of me, the easier my job is. So you'll hear me barking quite a lot, and that's, it's because I want to stay alert myself, but also want to, make sure that the back four is alert. We're a team, we're gelling, and, I'm a massive believer in, keeping those clean sheets will give you a great platform. And, we did manage to get some. I would have liked more. And then all it takes is one little goal up top, and we've done our job, So I always kind of think as we're attacking, my mentality is great. You guys up there go and do your job, but for example, my centre midfielder needs to be sitting in that hole, screening, waiting for that counter attack. And I'm sort of thinking, sometimes people think I'm pessimistic, but I always think, what if, what if that guy does lose the ball? What if they do get lucky with that counter? And that's my job. So I'll take responsibility for that,
Let me sort of take it another step further here, because I think we saw a few times this season where you were basically the last man standing for the Orange County defense. Possibly, a mistake or a missed clearance or a missed tackle right in front of you. What goes on in your mind when you're watching your teammate go in and missing a tackle or making that bad pass, and knowing that you're that last person between you and the goalie? Take us through your mindset and what you go through in that.
Well, normally I'm cursing at them to make sure they do their job better. But after that, no, it's just a case of trying to. So as a defender, I think the biggest thing that I was taught is just to basically slow everything down. So the more time I can buy, my teammates will get back in. So if I can delay that last little sort of sprint or that last little trick that my opponent's going to try and make on me, it will just allow everyone else to have 2, 3, maybe 4 seconds just to get back in position, reset, and then they can help me. So the answer to that is just, I'm trying to just think of the worst case scenario at all times. So, but I do think, okay, maybe, my player may not make that tackle. He may get nutmegged. He may get lucky, whatever it might be. And I'm thinking, right, what can I do to affect that? And I think that's just something that I've been taught, to be honest with you. And I just take pride in trying to organise that as best as I can.
And one of our listeners is basically wanting us to let you know, defense wasn't the problem for the team this year. I think many fans and all three of us here on the podcast, we realized the defense was pretty solid throughout the season. It was just the lack of the goals, unfortunately. Let me ask you this: because you're re-signing with Orange County, you're going to be back here for another season, so you're spending more time in Southern California. Has In-N-Out grown on you yet? Are you giving it another chance?
No,
now that you're going to be here a little bit longer.
I tell you what I found, though. It was something, and I might get the pronunciation wrong, so bear with me, but it was something Polo. It was like a chicken place that does a nice little takeout, and I was all over the moon with it. So Chick-fil-A is definitely number one, and then after that is Polo Loco, I think it was called. So that might be my second. Is that close or not?
Yes, it was pretty close. That was pretty good. It was good.
Just to let you, just so it doesn't, just to help you out here, it is Spanish, and the 2 L's get more of that Y sound. So the traditional way people say El Pollo Loco.
Do you want to know a funny story? I went down to San Diego a few weeks ago, and I was looking for La Jolla, and obviously my accent says, "Hi guys, have you seen La Jolla?" And everyone looked at me like I had 2 heads, So I'm getting used to the pronunciations.
Yeah, I think we take it for granted growing up here in Southern California. I've lived here my whole life, so you sort of just know the pronunciation of a lot of that stuff because it's just sort of embedded.
I'm slowly learning. I'm slowly getting there. Give me a break. I've only been here for 7 months, so I'm getting there.
Well, and I went for my honeymoon, a while back. Went to London for a few days, and I was craving. We went to Ireland first, then went to London, and by that point, I was craving Mexican food because here in Southern California, you can get Mexican food pretty much everywhere, and that was a little difficult for me to find when I was out in London. So. It makes me totally understand, where you're coming from.
Yeah, the transition's been a little bit slow, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, El Pollo Loco is a good place too. You got, when you're craving some of that flame broiled chicken, it's pretty good. Let me ask you, or let me go to Dylan first, just in case Dylan has another question for you, and if not, then I'll go.
I did have another question, right? Rob, you spent, like you just mentioned, 7 months here in Southern California. What has been the best moment for you so far?
To be honest with you, I took real pride in the gaffer giving me the armband for the team. I do take real pride in that, and I want to be the one that's
He did warn us, gentlemen. He did warn us that potentially.
Am I back? I'm back.
You're back.
Sorry, guys. No, I was just saying I do take real pride in the gaffer giving me the armband, and I know that we've shared it with Roscoe and Thomas when he was here, and Kev. So listen, when I get that, that is a special moment for me. I just wanted to come back here and do as best as I can. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've seen my best here just yet. I think it's been very hard with everything going on, the games being so close together, and not really having a real training regime that we can really go off. But I'd like to think that I've given a good account of myself, but I've got plenty to come, and hopefully I can just be a big part of the club going forward,
Oh, definitely. Hopefully we'll take that. Alan, do you have a last question for Rob?
No, I mean it was really impressive to watch you play out there, and your growling and gruffing at players even made me sit up as a person watching the game. I was just like more engaged because of how engaging you were with your team. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for your great season, and look forward to seeing you out there next year, and apparently even better. So
Pleasure.
Perfect. Well, don't want to take up too much of your time this evening, Rob. But if you have any last things you want to share with our listeners before we let you go, feel free. Take
Yeah,
over the
no,
mic.
just listen. While here, I just said, listen. I'd just like to say again, thank you for all the support online and everything that you guys have done, because we do see it. I know it's been hard not being in a stadium, etc. But believe me, we are desperate for that to get back to normal. And I just hope that we can just enjoy ourselves next year in a stadium that's full, got a bit of atmosphere, a bit of an environment for us all to thrive off, and hopefully see you soon.
Oh, we're hoping for the same thing, and hopefully 2021 is a lot nicer to all of us than 2020 was.
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that's defender for your Orange County Soccer Club, returning in 2021. Rob Kiernan. Rob, thank you for joining us again here on the show.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy your nights.
And happy holidays.
Thank you. See you guys.
Thank you. There we go. So, Coach Braeden Cloutier. Am I getting it right? Or am I already butchering
Cloutier,
it?
apparently.
Cloutier.
This is going to take a long time.
We're just so used to saying Braeden Cloutier that, and thank you, San Diego Soccers, for doing that to all of us.
You're welcome. I mean, I guess on behalf of the San Diego Soccers. Sorry.
It's awesome. Like I mentioned, we've been going a little quick here because, we went a little bit long with Coach, and then Rob was waiting, so we didn't want to make him wait too long there. But it's always awesome when we can have players on the show, but getting, the coach on the show, especially for the first time here, is great. And hopefully we'll be able to make this work next season, get him on a few times, and figure out information from him. Dig deep.
There's no chance he tells us anything. I guarantee it. I love the man, but there's no way he's going to come on during the middle of the season and tell us anything, which is, that's fair. I wouldn't do that either.
No, I get it. But, hey, that's why you gotta try. We gotta try. We didn't do this. And I know we mentioned it last week. We went and did the player grades. I think, Dylan, you said we would hold off on the coaching grade until this final episode. So I'm going to hand off the reins to you because you're the grade master.
Well, I mean, there's only one coach that you wrote on this list. So that would be the man we just spoke. Well, not the man we just spoke to, but the man we just spoke to, Braeden Cloutier. 2 syllables. I see your comments, everyone. Alan, I mean, since you were the one that went first almost every time, since you're the one wearing a Sockers jersey,
I like how it's.
We're
gonna give him
scared when you talk to him.
Yeah,
wait, that's me.
We're gonna give him a grade and be like, "We'll see you in a month. You'll forget about it by now." No, it was having it be just like the B. There was like it was actually soothing and enjoyable versus right off of the pitch, and it's still terrifying because he's still in coach mode. He hasn't come down from that coach mode, and so he is pretty intimidating at times. I mean, I think he did the best with what he had. I think that it's tough to manage something like this where you're basically just trying to manage minutes. You're not really setting up game plans and instituting game plans. And I know he's had a very successful years in the past writing ships, but just didn't quite get this one right. But I think he'd be the first to admit that, it didn't go the way he wanted to. I would probably give him a B-. I think he didn't really get a chance to do his job. But obviously not making the playoffs means you probably don't get an A. But I give him a B-.
I'd say I would give him a B. Just getting dealt a really awful hand this season between a massive pandemic, trying to keep players fit, trying to keep players healthy. What a mess. But, it's not. He set up the team for success, and if you look at the chances created, we were a successful team. He's not going to go out there with his hip and go out there and put those chances away. That's not his job, so I can't fault him for that. But I'm going to give him a B. I think, or at least I hope he would agree with that one. But I don't think he would give himself an A, given the fact that we didn't make the playoffs. Ray, please, by all means, tell us you're going to give him an F, and this is why you didn't want to do this last week, and we're never going to speak to him again. So, by all means. You have to unmute yourself first. See, I shouldn't have just told him that, and we could have just gone with my grade, because we're all pretty sure it's going to be that.
You could have just not listened to me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. You may be a little surprised with my grade because of how harsh I've been on the team as a whole. I went with a C for the coach this year. There was positives, there was negatives on this. I will say this, and I was very harsh. I was very harsh when I'm talking about like certain plans that I was thinking would work. Now that I've had time to sort of rest on it and think about it, maybe it wasn't quite the nicest thoughts there are. So maybe my team grade changes a little bit as well. I was toying between like a C plus, because I wanted to give a bump up. I know I was making fun of you guys for this a little bit, but I wanted to give them a little bump up for the incident with Santi Moore on the sidelines, just because I loved that. That was awesome. I'm so mad that I didn't get to ask him. I forgot to ask him about that while he was on the show. But C, I'm going to go with C because it wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the worst. And yeah, I was a little harsh on everything. I should have taken COVID into mind, and maybe my team grade, it was a little too harsh also. So I've changed. I'm a little bit nicer now, maybe because it's December. Who knows?
Would you say you are thankful for this year's performance?
Sure. Let's go that way. If that's what you want to say, Dylan. We've got someone waiting to join the show, Dylan, so we can't lollygag around here.
All right. Well, hello to his parents before we even get him on.
Let's welcome our last guest of the evening, another defender for your Orange County Soccer Club, and that's Blake Malone. Blake, welcome back onto the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
Hey, what's up? How you guys doing?
We're doing good. How have you been now, a year under your belt here in Orange County, although not the greatest year just all around when everything gets put into the picture. How are you doing after your first year with the club?
Right. It was a pretty tough year, I would say. Obviously not the way we wanted it to go, and especially with, just how we played, our results, with COVID, all that situation. And personally, a couple weeks into the season, I actually tore my quad. So I ended up missing pretty much like 90% of the season. So it was pretty tough, and I think it was kind of a disappointing season, I'd say. But I think we're looking to bounce back, definitely 2021.
And that maybe you've just answered the question a lot of listeners may have had coming into this episode is, why didn't we see much of Blake Malone in 2020? Unfortunately, a lot of injury information doesn't get publicly shared. So sometimes it's just a guess on what's going on with some of the players, especially when they're not making their appearances. How frustrating is it as a player coming into a new team, a new situation, and then pretty much knowing now with an injury you're going to miss most of that time? What goes through the mind of a player when that's happening?
Yeah, it was definitely pretty frustrating because I feel like obviously I got here and then we were about to start kickoff season, great, and then hopefully you leave a mark with the team, hopefully do something for the fans, do it for the team, and then obviously COVID hits and then the injury, and it's just kind of it all kind of compounded, I guess, and was just pretty tough. It's pretty first rookie season, trying to get it underway and kind of have those obstacles. Obviously, it hurts. You know what I mean? It's kind of a letdown. But at the end of the day, that's sports. There's always, even if it's not sports, it's life. It's just things are thrown your way, and then how you deal with it is kind of how you progress. So I kind of try to take it in as best a stride I could, and now we're working, now we're rehabbing, and trying to get better for 2021. So,
Well, and I guess it's a positive view on things if you look at it with limited time to showcase your skills. When you're not injured, you still have the clubs wanting you to come back for another season, and so they must have seen something in what you can provide to the roster for 2021, which probably is a positive for you to know that, right?
yeah, absolutely. I'm really thankful for that. So it's always a good sign, and to know you're wanted and desired, and to know that people think you can make a difference. So it's always good, and definitely helpful in the mental state.
So, what are your goals in for the off season and then heading into 2021? What would be your big goal for next season?
I think my personal goal as of right now in the off season is to get healthy again, to get back to where I was before my injury. I think that's my number one goal right now, because it's been a while that I've been out of commission. And then as a team, I think we just need to perform. I think that a lot of L's and losses we took last season were pretty not embarrassing, but not the way we wanted it to happen. I think that there were definitely times when we were up where we should have been in better spots, and we just made little mistakes that definitely cost us situations. If we could look back to the sack game where we're up a player and a goal, so I think it's just honing in and really focusing as a team to come together this season and get it done the right way and get it done the best way possible.
Blake, where do you slot in 2021 in getting things done?
Hopefully I can just be another important piece to the team. It's always, I can sit here and say that I'm gonna do a whole bunch of stuff, but at the end of the day, it's what we can all do together and how we can be cohesive and make it happen as one. From the coaching staff down to the players to everyone behind the scenes, and of course myself. So hopefully we can all just get on the same page, understand our mission and our goal right from the beginning, and get after it and get started.
So not being able to play, but still probably being engaged in the game, getting kind of a bird's eye view of the team and the season this year. Was there anything that you were able to pick up maybe that you might not have, like playing the game, but like taking a step back and kind of watching it from a more global perspective? Was there anything you picked up on this season, kind of taken from that perspective?
Yeah, I think that when you're really just sitting up in the stands and watching, you definitely get a better perspective of who you're playing with, who you're playing against, and how you're playing. And I think that when you can sit back and really just, you can focus on your team, not how you're going to play, and just focus on your team and what's happening, you can really get a good view of what mistakes are, what we're doing well, and how we can fix it. Whether it's how we're pressing, where our confrontation line is, or whatnot. I think that definitely you get a better insight to your team and other teams on playing style and what needs to improve, and continuously get better to do good in the season, I guess, and play better soccer.
Let's step away from the soccer talk really quick here, because we just had Rob on the show, and it's well known that Rob is not a huge fan of In-N-Out, which I think a lot of Southern Californians look at that as you can't really say that, or you're not supposed to say that when you live in Southern California. Although I sort of agree, it's a once in a while thing. I like it, but I'm not the hugest fan. Let me ask you: are you a fan of In-N-Out?
I am a huge fan of In-N-Out. There's actually a secret menu, and I always would get a 4x4, which is the 4 patties, the 4 cheeses, and that's my go-to. And then I get my fries on the crispier side. So I am a fan of In-N-Out, but I'm trying to stay healthy. But I do slip In-N-Out in there every once in a while.
And maybe just someone has to show or introduce Rob to that secret menu at In-N-Out. Maybe he's just missing that. He's going and seeing just hamburger, cheeseburger, French fries, and like thinking, What is the point of this? What's the greatness of this? But it's a Southern California staple, is that secret menu at In-N-Out.
Absolutely.
And do you ever, so let's do this. I'm the order taker at In-N-Out, and how do you order it? Like, what do you tell them?
I pull up. I'm in the drive-thru. Come up with the window down. I'm like, hey, how are you guys? I'm good. How are you? And I'm just straight up. I would like a 4x4 with a Neapolitan milkshake. And they're like, great. And then I'm like, cool, thanks. And then that's it.
And then they ask, do you want onions on it?
Oh yeah, I'm a no onion. I'm an everything but onion. I can't really do onions. Not my favorite, not my forte.
But, onions are hit or miss for a lot of people. Funny little story. I'm not going to take it too long, but when my oldest son was like a year old, I fed him some onions out of a bean and cheese burrito, and my wife thought he was going to gross out by those, and he was loving them. He was just eating up onions left and right. So it's not for everyone, but some people love them.
I agree. I agree with all of the chat. It's all about those grilled onions. That's what it's about. Getting them grilled onions.
Oh god.
We're getting everyone's In-N-Out order on our chat right now, which is pretty cool.
There we go.
Let's see.
Blake,
we did have one.
Go ahead.
You want to go for it, Dylan?
I was going to ask Blake, do you want an In-N-Out themed tifo for you when you get to make your debut for us next year?
Yeah, of course, sure. I'd love that. That'd be awesome.
Or maybe just a 4x4, like under a heat lamp for you.
Hey, that'd be good too. Either way, I'm grateful. Thank you.
One of our listeners listening live on the show on Periscope is asking, how are you feeling about the choice of moving to the USL versus continuing with the college game at this point?
I'm definitely, even though it was a rough season, kind of a rough start for me, I'm definitely happy with the move. I think that playing in the USL is such a good developmental opportunity, and I think it's great to get to play against players who are much stronger, faster, which is the same in college, but definitely with a lot more experience and kind of that know of the game. Kind of like just when you're playing against Michael Orozco, there's so many little details that he has up his sleeve that just make the game just so much better. So I'm definitely happy with the move. What are the major differences? Is that for me? I would say the major differences are that, again, like I said, experience, and you're playing against really driven players, and each team wants to win a championship for their team. I guess when I was in college, I know quite a few teams and players that kind of were just like, oh, Humpty Dumpty about it. But I think that upon the move here, everyone is really, really committed, and because at this point it's a job, it's a career. So how far you take it and how you can do during that season is what will keep you going, or what will make you sink. So I think it's that dedication, that drive from teams.
And sort of build off of that question then, because Orange County has really built themselves up as providing this pathway to pro for youth players in the United States, locally in Southern California, but also across the United States, in sort of see what happens with someone like an Aaron Cervantes, who's now moving on over to Rangers in Scotland. What does that mean for a young player like yourself, seeing that sort of opportunity with Orange County to grow and develop and look for future steps to take?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's always a really good sign to see, and it's kind of motivating to know that they have your back and that they're pushing for you to excel to the maximum of your capabilities. It's always great to, just like Cervantes, it's great to see him going and doing bigger and better things, and it's kind of always, it's nice to know that they have your back and they're supportive, and they're doing everything that they can to help us succeed, and go to stretches that maybe we wouldn't think are possible and help us get there. So it's really, really helpful for sure.
Nice. Let me throw it off to Dylan or Alan. Do you guys have any last questions? Alan? Dylan?
Yeah, Blake, you are so incredibly positive, and it's been a very, very rough year for a lot of people, definitely yourself included. I mean, tearing your quad, I would imagine hurts a lot.
It wasn't
and
fun.
Not being able to play
Yeah.
probably also hurts quite a lot as well. So what have you managed? I mean, this isn't Washington or Chapel Hill. I mean, how have you managed to stay positive this year?
I don't know. It's definitely been pretty tough, especially with everything going on. It's been tough. But I guess at the end of the day, when you look at it all and you think about it, you can either accept it and accept that that's what it is and try and move forward with it, or you can sit back and kind of let it eat you up. And I'd rather, conflict hits you. I'd rather try and get it solved and get it resolved like straight away, or at least go into that challenge with the mindset that, okay, we can do this, we can get through it, and then push to see if you can. And if it doesn't happen, great. But you always, I feel like, gotta keep positive and keep pushing. Because otherwise, I guess you're kind of just gonna dig yourself into a deeper hole, and then you'll need some other assistance to get you out than just trying to climb yourself. So I think just trying to stay positive and just keep pushing forward is what's helped me. Plus the sun and Cali weather is definitely pretty nice. So that definitely helps and does beat Seattle's darkness. So that is also good.
You are wise beyond your very few years.
Oh gosh.
Let me get one last just random question here for you, and then we'll let you head off, Blake. If you weren't a professional soccer player, is there a secondary sport that you would have potentially had a shot at? And if so, what sport is it, and what team would you be playing for?
I'll tell you what. Me, Seth Kasipli, and Freddie Do love to golf. And I love golf. So I think that I would probably try to make it as a PGA. I'd probably try to be the next Tiger Woods. I don't know if it's possible, but I would probably try to take it to the PGA.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that you got some golf partners on this roster, and hopefully you can be more healthy next year, and you actually be able to to play without hurting while you're. I don't know if it hurts to swing when you're injured like that. I don't know. I don't play golf, so I don't really know.
You know your quad is, right?
Isn't it like somewhere like on your shoulder or something like that, Dylan?
Definitely up there.
Blake, you have any last messages or anything you want to share with our fans, our listeners before you head out?
Stay positive, keep cheering us on, and we're looking for a strong 2021. And thank you guys for having me on the show.
Thank you so much, Blake. Ladies and gentlemen, that's defender for your Orange County Soccer Club, Blake Malone, the most positive player probably ever on our show. So we appreciate it, Blake. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll get to have you on sometime next season.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again, Blake Malone. Hey, joined us here when he first joined the club, joining us now to wrap up 2020. And man, what a guest to have to wrap up 2020. So positive, so just well-spoken. Sounds like he's enjoying life, even though, it wasn't the most wonderful season or first season experience here in Orange County. It's just makes you realize, to try and be positive, try and find ways to be happy, be positive. Even though when things seem like they may be low or at their lowest, you can hopefully find ways to be positive. I know it's difficult in these times, and that's why we're sort of saying so long 2020 and hoping 2021 is a little bit better than this year was, right? Let's do this. Any last thoughts in 2020? I'm going to go to you first, Dylan, and then this is not your random thought. This is just last thoughts on 2020 or the season or the year, and then we'll get to our random thoughts.
Well, can I use the word that I really want to use? No, there's probably children listening. I like Allen's. Everyone will like Allen's. There's probably kids listening or families listening, so I won't use it, but it's all been a little bit not great this year. And I imagine this winter will probably be a little bit worse than most. So, take the wise words of 19-year-old Blake Malone and keep pushing forward, because 2021 is right around the corner, and a return to play and a return to the pitch and a return to the stands is right around the corner for all of us.
Alan, any last things before we get to our random thoughts?
Yeah, I thought Blake Malone was about to Ted Lasso us and tell us be a goldfish. Just when things are going bad, you just forget about it. Right? Who the happiest animal on the planet is? I don't know how to do his accent, but it's a great show.
Really bad Jason Sudeikis doing
a really bad. Accent. Well, he had a really bad Southern accent, so it makes sense.
Isn't he from the Midwest?
I don't know. It's
Go
still a
ahead.
bad
Go
accent.
ahead. Go ahead.
Is
Sorry.
he's from like Omaha or something like that, right?
Whatever.
That's
Kansas City.
That's where Blake Malone is from.
So yeah,
He
he
was
was just
born
like,
there.
just forget the bad stuff that just happened and just go out there and do the job that you know you're going to do. Stay positive, and obviously we won't forget a lot of the bad things, and sometimes remembering those bad things can help you make better decisions in the future. But we have each other. I'm sure we'll keep texting. We'll stay in tune to some social medias, so we're not going anywhere. You just don't have to see us anymore. But yeah, be positive, love your life, be a goldfish.
Hurry up, Apple, and get season 2 of Ted Lasso on the air. I'm already missing it, and it hasn't been that long since I watched it. Yeah, we're taking a little bit of a break here for the rest of this year and early part of next year. We're not, totally taking a break from all this. We're going to be brainstorming some ideas of how we can improve the show in 2021, and figure that stuff out as well. But we are going to be back to continue this amazing journey because, like these two gentlemen with me on the show, it's one of our favorite parts every week is to just get together, talk soccer for about an hour, pick on me for some of the dumb stuff I say, and then move on and enjoy our share of the love of this game. So as far as 2020, there's nothing nice to say about it. A lot of, even without COVID, sports in general for me was horrible because my two teams in the US that I love, which are the Clippers and Orange County Soccer Club, had disappointing ends to their season. So, but yeah, that's that. Let's do this. Let's get to we're going to do two things, gentlemen. So I'll go to you first, Dylan, our random thought and your New Year's resolution. So Dylan, go for it.
All right. I don't have anything for you to read this week. There's a lot of things. I've recommended so many things. Just go. I've recommended more things than anyone else in the show's history. I can't do that. I'm just going
to put together a highlight episode while we're on hiatus of just your recommendations for the whole episode, Dylan. We'll just do that.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. I don't have anything for you to read, but a fun fact I learned today was Michael Seaton is the youngest, or was, how do I phrase this sentence? Oh my God. Michael Seaton was the youngest player to ever play for Jamaica. And that record still stands, which is that's wild to me. He's one of very few players that happens to be an active player that is representing, or that has represented his country at a very young age. It's wild. Like, for example, the U.S.'s youngest ever player played in like 1904. Actually, 4 of the 5 youngest players. So, I don't know. I miss Michael Seaton. I guess that's my random thought.
And he's a rapper.
Brain.
So go check out. You can check out some of his songs on like Spotify or Apple Music or pretty much wherever you stream your music. Just look. His rap name is Seats, with like one of those little like marks over one of the letters. I don't remember which letter it is.
It's accent aigu, which means it goes up from left to right. My New Year's resolutions just to be a little bit more positive. I am definitely the pessimist of the show and the pessimist of most things in my life. So, I should probably stop being a little bit like that. This year's been bad enough, and this year's made me soft and enjoy things. So that's my goal next year, is just to do some more of that and spend some time with some nice people. Yeah, I'm sure everyone else everyone in the CLC will probably enjoy me being a little bit more positive. So that's my goal. Hold me to it if I'm not doing that for whatever reason.
Alan, what about your random thought and New Year's resolution?
My random thought is a literature recommendation. I'm going to recommend Slapstick by Kurt Vonnegut. It is incredibly poignant and wonderful. It's about the demise of America and
why did I go first?
All sorts of shenanigans. It's a beautiful book. I enjoyed it. I read it recently. Your ray of sunshine, Dylan. So that is my literary recommendation is Slapstick by Kurt Vonnegut. New Year's resolution. I don't usually do New Year's resolutions because usually it's like I'm chubby and I don't want to be chubby anymore, and then I just give up and still be chubby. Which is, I mean, I get it. It's what I do. I'm good at it. I think I would like to read more books that are just for fun and enjoyment. So I'm going to try and hone in my inner Dylan and be pessimistic and read lots of books.
You can read lots of books and you don't have to be negative.
All right. I'll try that first.
There you go. Random thought for me. I don't know. I honestly don't have a random thought today. I was concentrating so much on this being our final episode of 2020. I just really didn't think about what my random thought would be. And I asked you guys to do New Year's resolution, and I didn't even think of something for that. So I'm going to do this. My New Year's resolution is going to be podcast based. I'm going to try and do a better job of not rambling on when I'm asking questions. And I'm going to try and do a better job of not messing up sayings, words, phrases, all that fun stuff. Pronunciations. We'll see how long that'll last. It'll probably last like 30 seconds in to, hey, it's not New Year's yet, Dylan. So
it's not New Year's, so don't have to be nice. You need to do better. Even random people in the chat are asking you to do better. The CLC is going to chant, do better for you, Ray.
Hey, I'll take it. Make a chant for me. Do better, Ray. That you just say that over and over. Who knows? No, but I'm going to work on that and making sure I can improve that. I know I do it. And sometimes I just decide I don't want to deal with it. And Alan's just ready to end this. He's like looking at his.
I'm telling you,
script.
I'm
he's ready. He's ready. He's ready. That's what he's saying.
Ready. Wow, he's rushing out 2020. He's over it.
Okay, really quick. My random thought here I'm going to say is thank you to all of our listeners who have stuck with us through this crazy year. We appreciate it. We do this for the love of it, but we also appreciate that you are willing to listen and share your thoughts with us and interact with us now that we have that option, which we didn't have at the beginning of 2020. And we just appreciate it because we know you can listen to a bunch of other soccer-related podcasts. You can listen to sports talk radio. You can just watch ESPN if you want to and get your soccer love out of that if and when they talk about it, which is very rare, but you choose to listen to us, which is awesome. And I promise we'll continue to try and improve and do better and make this work more. And also thanks to all the players and guests that we've had on from other podcasts throughout this year. We appreciate anyone that's willing to take time out of their Tuesday evening to spend time with us. No one gets paid to join us on the podcast. They just do it because they're nice and they're offering to do it. Or maybe, as a player, maybe your team tells you, hey, you got to go talk to these guys. And they're like, okay, let's do it. But we appreciate it anyways. And I'm appreciative of the two gentlemen that I have on here with us, because definitely would be difficult to do this by myself. Dylan and Alan, you are a great help on this. So I appreciate all that you do. Sometimes I ask you to do random things behind the scenes and you guys are like, sure, let me do it. And I appreciate that as well. So I'm going to hand it off to Alan for his last sponsor read of 2020.
A huge thank you to our sponsor, Roughneck Scarves, the official scarf supplier of the MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get your custom scarves on for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com. Oof, that one jumped out at me. Are you also tired of those same old uniforms and cookie cutter templates from Nike and Adidas? Looking for a unique, completely custom kit for your youth club, Sunday League squad, adult, or even pro team? Icarus FC can help you create the kit of your dreams at an affordable price. Let them help you design your new custom kit today at IcarusFC.com.
Perfect. So for Dylan, for Alan, for head coach Braeden Cloutier, did I get that? I'm still butchering that, but it's not 2021 yet. For Rob Kiernan, for Blake Malone, this is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, and we are